Hi, my name is Sophia Badhan and I'm originally from Birmingham. I'm an iwill ambassador and I am currently in the Netherlands studying at university.
My name is Mohammed Waleed Khan, and I'm basically from Pakistan, but I live here and I'm getting my treatment in the UK right now, and I'm living in Birmingham at the moment. I'm studying here as well. Uh, I do motivational speeches against radicalization, and I'm also an iwill ambassador. I've been part of the youth parliament previously, and yeah, and I do campaigning for against radicalization.
My name is Ziauddin Yousafzai, and the world also knows me as Malala Yousafzai's father. I'm a teacher and a campaigner for education, and I'm also the co-founder and one of the directors of the Malala Fund.
So as we all know that education and campaigning about education has been a really important part of your life. And why education is the most important topic for you to campaign on and reflect on young people out of school in pandemic. And please, can you please possibly reflect on young people and the impact of pandemic on them?
My simple answer is education is important for me because what I am, it is because of the education I have received. And education has transformed me into the kind of person that I am. It has changed me. It has changed my inner being. It has made me skillful in articulating my views, my ideas, making me able to communicate. And the most important thing that education has given me are the values of life. So what has changed me, I believe that it can change other human beings. And that's why I believe that education is the most powerful tool that can change individuals, communities, and countries. About pandemic, as we all know that like 130 million girls were not in school before the pandemic. And equally, I mean, less or more numbers of boys are not in school in the world. But during the pandemic, we saw that from March until October, uh, billions of girls and boys remain out of school because of the pandemic.
What made you feel like girls' education was important for your family and for your daughter?
You know, I grew up in a small village in the northwest of Pakistan, and I was born and I grew up in a typical patriarchal family. I had five sisters and a brother, and we seven siblings. I could see as a little child, as a boy, that there were two different set of parenthood, one for the girls and one for the boys. I remember that I was served with much better food, more pair of clothes and shoes, and my sisters did not have that privilege. And I was treated differently because I was a boy.
Mm.
And the worst discrimination that my sisters went through was their deprivation from education because that crippled their future. And as I told uh, in my early answer, that education changed me. So I was of the mind and I was determined that if I'm a father, I will educate my daughter. Because for my parents, for them, for me, they had big, tall dreams. They wanted to see me as a doctor, as an influential person, to be independent, and blah, blah, blah. A lot of dreams about me. But for my five sisters, their only dream was to get them married as early as possible. And I should also mention about my wife. She remained, I mean, without schooling. She went to school for a few days and then she got bored because she was the only girl in a boys' classroom. And then she sold her books for candies. But no one asked her why she stopped going to school. That was the end of her school. But she loved me because I was an educated boy, kind of. And then together, it was like we were a perfect couple, I can say. I'm very proud of her. That together, as we were born in patriarchal families, but together we were able to create a family that is an egalitarian family.
Definitely, yeah, and it's
Thank you.
really lovely to hear you say that. As as a young Indian woman, it was quite a shock when I broke it to my family that I wanted to go and study abroad, and some people were quite scared for me. They were like, "Oh, what will people say?" But I'm very lucky to have parents who believe in me and want me to achieve the best, whether that's in the UK or abroad. So it's really lovely to hear that kind of unwavering support for your daughter. Yeah.
I mean,
Sophia, you are not only lucky, but you are a brave girl. I'm so proud of you. Well done.
as I mentioned earlier, that the title of your book is Let Her Fly. So what do you think the role of society, parents, and teachers in letting young people is to let them fly? What is their role in letting them fly?
Dear, I mean, the role of the society, I mean, teachers, parents, neighbors, people you know or even you don't know, community role, it's very crucial. It's very important. You and Sophia, you both are the ambassadors of iwill. Am I right?
Yeah.
I think that this is a great campaign. We need you can society. We need you can a campaign, or we can environment for our children and for our youth. And I'll explain it what it means when I say you can. I mean, you do your campaign, it's great. I will, that's important. But for us as community, we should have a conducive environment of you can. You know that when I, excuse me, you know that when I talk, I stammer. And especially in your name, Waleed Khan. So, sorry, I say it again. And especially in your name. So, this problem, this is like, it could be a hinder, it could be a hurdle in my speaking. But as a young boy, when I wanted to do something and I wanted that I will be a speaker, like you say, I will, okay? I wanted that I will be a speaker, I will be a debater, I will be speak to the public. And it was difficult because stammering is, of course, it's a problem when you want to speak fluently. But it was my father who changed my weakness into strength, because he told me you can. And then I remember that in my first, like in my maiden speech, when I was like 13 years old or 12 years old, and my father wrote a speech for me, and I memorized it, like crammed it, like I learned it by heart. And when I went to the podium and I delivered my speech, my eyes were open, but I was nervous and I could not see anything. But I performed my speech very well when I came down. So one of the teachers, he came to me and he whispered in my ear, Ziauddin, you spread the fire. So I still remember his words. He told me that you can. So then I met great teachers and friends who always encouraged me. So of course, the role of parents, the role of teachers, it is so important. Usually we parents and teachers, we don't realize that one word of encouragement or one word of discouragement puts a huge impact, positive or negative, on our children, but we are not mindful of that. And we must be mindful of that. So I have a lot of examples that how your environment let you grow and learn and how it stops you. So I believe that it's so important that we have support your people, the people who encourage us, people who are optimistic and who gives us hope. So I myself kept away myself from people who are cynic, who are very pessimistic, who always see darkness and they say it's night. No, I always wanted to see the light, and I always looked up to the stars. So it's very important.
I mean, wow, that's such an inspiring story, and the fact that it's a true story, and this is something that I can
And also,
relate to.
when I say let her fly, so this is very much important. My son Atal told me that why not let them fly? We boys also want to fly. Why you say let her fly? And I told him, look, the men and boys are flying since centuries. I mean, they are flying and they have a right to fly,
Yeah.
but girls are lagging behind. Girls are lagging behind of many reasons. They are not giving that equal importance which boys are given. And there are social norms which stop them to be going to school. Uh, Even the governments are patriarchal. They don't invest enough money on girls' education as they do in boys' education. So when I say let her fly, I mean that at least if we can't encourage, we should not pull our girls down. And I always refer to this quote of mine that when people ask me what special I did to mentor my daughter, and I tell people that don't ask me what I did, rather ask me what I did not do. I didn't clip her wings.
So how does it feel to be set apart from others by your experiences or by your campaigning? How do you have the courage to continue your work even if you feel on your own?
I think it's a difficult one. I guess the nature of my campaigning is I'm often talking about my own story and my own experiences. And to some extent, no one else has shared them with me. So it's quite often just me standing there talking about things. And it can be really scary. And quite isolating sometimes as well. But what's really helped me is to reach out to some amazing communities online and in person and with iwill as well. A lot of my friends who have experienced similar situations and can relate to me. I think it's really important that you should always kind of connect with others who share your beliefs and also who challenge them as well. I think it's important to surround yourself with that kind of variety of different opinions and different voices. And yeah, so I guess spending time with people who understand me helps me feel a lot less alone, because it can be quite lonely, but that's what motivates me and keeps me going, the fact that my story has the potential to help others.
I'll tell my story that when I tried to stand against patriarchy, and when I wanted to become a different father or a different husband from the husband and fathers of the community. So, of course, there was kind of a opposition. Some people criticized me even in front of me. Some people started backbiting, and they wanted to pull me down. I remember that one of my nephews, even very close person, he complained to my wife that Malala is now a grown-up girl of like 12, 13 years, and why she should be visible on media, why should she go to the gatherings where there are men and boys, and she should stay home. But I communicated to my nephew a strong message through my wife and told him that he should not poke his nose in our family affairs. Malala is a free bird. No one can stop her. And no one on earth can clip her wings. So this was very much important. Also, I tell this story as well that when after Malala was born, one of my cousins brought a family tree. And when I looked at the family tree, it was a long list of men
Mm.
traced back to 300-400 years. And at that time, I was father of a daughter. So I picked up my pen, drew a line from my name, and wrote Malala. And my cousin was staring, and he had a grimace on his face and looking towards me that what this crazy man is doing, like entering a girl name on a family tree. But I reciprocated with a smile. I knew what was I doing. So, I mean, it is very easy to flow with the tide like a dead fish. It needs an amount of courage, resilience, bravery to go against the tide. And the bravest people, they turn the tides with them. So this is what I want to tell you, that if you have this strength, the most important thing, that once you believe in the truth that you believe, it's so simple. Like my community, our patriarchy say women and men are not equal. Girls should not go to school. And I say, no. My belief is they are equal, and all girls have equal right to go to school and receive at least 12 years of free, safe, and quality education. The most important thing is that you must believe in yourself, what you do. Once that is done, then you are a successful person.
And I think, as you mentioned, like the things you mentioned, like these things requires a lot of courage, like to stand in this way. And I know I can relate to, because I've been from that part of the world as well, and standing in that community against patriarchy is something that requires a lot more courage and a lot more to do, to be honest. And I mean, even in my family and in some other parts of the country, there's still these things going on, and the slowly the change is coming. We have people like you. We have a youth that is getting education. That is we spreading awareness through. And we're asking for equality for everyone, equality for girls, equality for boys. And I still remember, like, we were together. I think you remember in one of the events where you mentioned that if you can see with both eyes, why are you only using one of your eye? Like, use both of your eyes. So that's what our society is doing. Unfortunately, that we are only trying to see with one eye, but not using our both eyes, or we can, and it will be more effective.
Okay, my next question to Waleed first is, how can education support young people to find their own voice, do you think?
I think education is one of the key things for, especially for youth. And education, personally, from my personal experience, education has really helped me, like from the start. Even though when I was in Pakistan, like you do face a lot of different people. You do face some people that try to spread hatred and trying to manipulate you their way. So the thing that I had was, like, since I was getting education, and I used to ask a lot of questions. I used to ask a lot of questions, and I at that time I knew some of my teachers back in Pakistan, and some of my religious teachers kind of had a problem with it, because I used to ask really questions on really sensitive topics. And I think it was education that was giving me the awareness to realize what was wrong with the society and what was happening wrong around there. And I think for every young person, I think education is not just about getting a degree. It's not just getting like, you know, a doctor's degree, or becoming an engineer, or going into like any fields. Like, it's not just about finding a job. Education actually helps you to build your character. It teaches you, like, it makes you a human being. Like, when we are born, we are raw. It is education that makes us human being, that makes us realize the values and the things that we have to learn, and the things that we can do for the society. So I think education is the only weapon that can give power to youth, and to find their own voices. Plus, education is the only way to find solution to all the problems that we are facing right now in the world.
I mean, adding to your point, I think that education empowers us. Education gives us wisdom. And it makes us critical as well. Like, we don't accept things blindly. The basic are the purpose of education, which is very obvious, like having skills, learning languages. That's important. To become doctor, engineer, and pilot, etc., etc. That's fine. But adding to that, the most important component that education contributes to one's personality or character, as Waleed Khan mentioned, is that you have the wisdom and you have the critical thinking, that you don't accept things blindly. You think over things. And then the second important thing, that it give you the ability, it give you the power to articulate what you have in your mind and heart. It gives you the voice. It makes you to raise your voice.
Yeah, definitely. I think on a personal note, for me, education has really given me the power to use my voice. So I was quite lost at the beginning of my secondary school career, really. I didn't really know who I was, what I was doing, and I was really struggling with my mental health, to the point that it just encompassed every single aspect of who I was. I didn't know who I was without mental illness. And I think it was not only the education that I was lucky enough to receive, but also the teachers who really helped to shape the young woman that I am today. And I mean, yes, lessons are fantastic, and learning things like maths and science and English are fantastic. But I think education's more than that. And what I got the most out of at school were the discussions with my teachers, talking about me as a person, trying to figure out who I was and what I wanted to do with my future, with my friends, and just having those discussions where you learn things, because I think that's just what education is. It's learning as much as you can about everything that you can. And I think with that education and with learning, young people can find their own voice and actually be able to express it in a way that is meaningful and powerful and impactful.
I think building on education, giving young people their own voice, do you feel hopeful about the future of youth voice and youth activism? Sophia, you answer first, please, and then Ziauddin.
Definitely. I think young people have the power to change the world. And I think it's about equipping them with the tools and the skills to be able to do so. I think every young person has an incredible amount of potential, and it's just about harnessing that and using that in a positive way. The future is scary, especially in current circumstances with the pandemic. But I truly believe that the future led by young people has the potential to be great, to be fantastic. I mean, we're protesting already, we're using our voices, we're opinionated, we believe strongly in what we believe in, and I think those are the foundations for a new generation of great leaders. So yeah, I'm hopeful. Yeah.
I'm really very, very hopeful. And I believe in children. This is my life. One thing that I have learned from my life is to have a staunch belief in children. If you just think about our contemporary activists, we can give example of Malala, who raised her voice for, girls' education, and it spread like a crescendo in the whole world. Her voice is heard from power corridors in the UN. It is heard by the world leaders, and it has gone down to the schools and grassroots level communities. And then Greta Thunberg is a great example. I mean, a very young girl who comes out all alone with her poster a school strike for climate, and this Swedish girl, within 2-3 years, she mobilizes a world of children and adults, and people join this her marches.
A lot of young people, as I have seen recently, they've been coming forward and sharing their mental health like issues that they're facing, like yourself. I think it requires a lot of courage and a lot of like it is something really hard to talk about. Like personally, from personal experience, I have faced post-traumatic stress disorder like for a long time, and I think personally talking about something like this openly requires a lot of courage.
Thank you very much. Yeah, and just another quick point to add, I think the cultural awareness around treating mental illness is something that really needs to be addressed. So the idea of culturally sensitive therapies and getting the whole family involved. So my parents didn't know what was going on with me. They just wanted me to be well. And now we have such a good relationship where we're able to talk about our feelings and what's going on. I can call them and tell them if I'm struggling. And it's okay because we've had the right type of therapy for our culture, for our family, for our society. And it's made sense to us as individuals, but also as a collective unit. And I think that's really important.
Building on that, like the stereotypes that we have in our society, I think one of the biggest stereotype that we have is like boys don't cry, men don't cry. You get your feelings, keep your feelings inside. You don't have to cry. I think this is something that we need to address. That yeah, it's okay to cry. It is okay to be sad, but what's not okay is give up. I think the only thing we should do is never give up. It's okay if we cry because it's a normal thing. Only strong people can cry. Strong people express their feelings. People who have the courage to show their feelings to the world, they cry. It's not a weakness. Crying is not a weakness. It's your strength. I think one of my greatest moments of my campaigning that I remember was the first time when I was going to speak to my school and the students in my school, and I think at the same time the most unexpected thing happened as well with me, because I hadn't prepared anything on that day, and I was really scared. It was my first time ever. Like I used to do like conducting in my other school, but it was my first time after the incident that happened with me and me coming out of the hospital. It was my first time ever interacting with people face to face, and it was a big group of people, like a whole school. So I was really nervous, and there was so many things going in my mind. I was like, oh, what will these people think of me, and how would they react to me? What if they don't listen to me, or what if they start talking? What if I'm boring? And I went there on the stage with nothing written, with nothing prepared. Uh, at first, I wasn't even looking at any of them. I was just looking straight, and I was like, I won't look at anyone. I was so nervous. I was standing behind the podium. My legs were shaking, and I started speaking. And there was complete silence in the hall. Complete silence, and I think in between I got a bit emotional. I didn't even notice people, and I wasn't looking at anyone. And when I ended my speech, I think when I ended my speech and I look up and I see all these children and all these kids in back rows, all the teachers, the head teachers, like they all were crying, and it was the first time ever that someone got a standing ovation in our school. And I was so surprised by it, and I was so struck by it, and that's what made me realize that yeah, my voice can change someone's life. I think my story, that's what my weakness became my strength. The story that I was so afraid to share, and because of the society and everything, I was thinking of what would people think of me if I tell them about myself. So I think that really changed everything for me. And from that day, I realized that what actually sharing my story and my voice can do. And I always believe that, you know, I always go with this belief now that even if I'm speaking to like a group of 500 people or like 1,000 people, and if I'm able to change even like life even one of them in there, I think that would be a great success for me. And like one of the and looking at those kids, like that was the greatest moment for me. The way they listened to me and they inspired, they got inspired. So I was really grateful for it, and I think it was something that I will remember forever.
That was, thank you so much for sharing that. I really relate to that as well. I remember the first time, so it was just after I'd come out of hospital, and I said to my teachers, I want to do an assembly on eating disorders. I want to talk about what happened to me and where I've been, because there were lots of rumors going around like, oh, where's Sophia gone? Like she just disappeared. And I stood up in front of a few years, I don't know, a few year groups, and it was the first thing I'd done. I could barely walk into a classroom without panicking, and here I was standing in front of everyone talking about something which was really difficult. But I don't remember much of the actual talk itself. I remember just afterwards everyone was just so incredible. I mean, teachers and students were coming up to me and hugging me and saying, thank you so much for sharing your story. And some people even messaged me saying, you've made me realize that I should go and get help, or you've made me understand more about eating disorders and about mental health conditions. And just like you, Waleed, I thought if there's one person that I have hopefully helped,
Uh,
or if there's one person's mind that I've changed in this whole entire room, then it would have all been worth it. And that is what keeps me going through every speech, even when I'm terrified, even when I'm panicking, even when I feel like I can't do it. That's what I tell myself, that if there's even one person I can help, then it will be worth it. Okay, so I have grown up in Birmingham my whole life. I love Birmingham. I very strongly identify with being a Brummie, and I love everything about my city. And I was wondering, what's your favourite thing about Birmingham, having moved here? What did you love the most?
I think for me personally, Birmingham. First, I really love, like, I don't know whether it's me or whether like I've been getting treatment like in QE hospital. So I really love that hospital personally, because they have like helped me a lot throughout my life. So like, that whenever I look at that place, like, you kind of feel that ease like inside you. Like whenever I look at QE hospital, like I'm like, wow, this is the place that has helped me. And one more thing I love about Birmingham is the diversity in here, like in especially in my school as well. The school I come from is so diverse. Like we have people from the Black community, from the Asian community, from the white community, and people from different countries, from different cultures, from different ethnicities. And at first, when I went in there, I was so surprised to see all these different kind of people, and I was really scared as well. I was like, how am I gonna make friends here? Because I don't know any of them. I don't know anything about their culture or anything. But I think they've been some lovely people and some great people. Like and it was easier for me. They made it easier for me to make friends. I think the thing that I love the most about Birmingham is the thing. I like London, but I don't like London that much. Birmingham is kind of like it has a balance of everything.
Perfect. Yeah, literally.
It has a side. It has a city side, plus it has an urban kind of side, like where you have like calm places, houses, greenery, and everything, and then you have the city side of it. So I think that's what I love the most about Birmingham. There is a balance of everything in Birmingham.
Wonderful. I'm really impressed. And one thing that's common between with, among the three of us, that is the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. Because when we came from Pakistan, so almost straight away, we went to the Kenya hospital because we came here for Malala's further treatment. And after her life-saving surgery in Pakistan, the perfect rehabilitation and a lot of surgeries she got that were done in Kenya hospital. And we remained in that hospital for 2-3 months. And every evening when I and Torpike, we walk on that road because we are living very close to the hospital. And we walk in front of that hospital, and I just point towards the room because it could be seen from outside on the 5th floor. Believe me, my heart is full of gratitude.
Yeah, definitely.
Sorry.
It's okay. Please don't
No,
apologize.
that's
Absolutely.
great. I mean,
And
we can relate to that.
and sorry.
Wow. No,
You encouraged us. You encouraged me that we should cry. Mary should cry. I'm crying now. And because if she hadn't got the treatment, I mean, she would have, I mean, this rehabilitation. And also I agree with the welcoming. I mean, the community in Birmingham, it's very diverse, and it's very welcoming. It welcomes the new people, and it's very, I mean, culturally, we see a lot of things that is from Pakistan. There are streets in Birmingham where you feel that as if you are in Peshawar, Lahore. So that is the other beauty for us, which touch our hearts, and we find very homely.
Yeah.
And in my family's social rehabilitation, in Malala's health rehabilitation, and my children's educational rehabilitation, this city and this community has played a pivotal role. My heart is full of thankfulness and gratitude for this town